How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World is a mess of a movie with a poor progression and an anticlimactic conclusion, an underdeveloped villain, and I loved every second of it. Hey everybody, it is Sunday, February 24th, and I have never been so simultaneously overwhelmed and underwhelmed in my life. Like, I've never had that kind of reaction. And I just don't know about this movie. This movie isn't good. Like, there's a lot of problems with this movie. But I'm so just invested in these characters, and everything about the very ending was done correctly. Like, it was the only ending that this series could have had, and it echoes the book series, which is beautiful and made me happy. But it's not earned in the movies. This ending is not earned in the movies, and it's earned in the books, and it left a bad taste in my mouth. But in spite of all of that, like, I was so emotional during the entire movie. Like, I had my legs pulled up in my seat, and I was hugging my knees, and I was crying, and I was so happy, and I clapped, and I cheered, and I did all of the things that I knew I would, but still, the entire time I was just like, this movie isn't very good. This movie it's not great. And then I would laugh and cheer and cry again. Listen, the critic in me wants to bash this movie. Like, I really am upset that this movie isn't as good as it should have been. But at the same time, even though it didn't do things the way I would have liked it to, it still elicited all of the responses that I wanted it to. Like, everything, I felt it. Like, I felt the emotion of this movie. But it didn't track right for me. It didn't make sense as far as the progression for these characters. Like, I didn't feel like we had gotten there yet. I'm just gonna have to be that person and be like, the books are better. The books are better. Okay, so, we're gonna move on from that. And speaking of books, I have started The Shadow Rising, which is the 4th book in the Wheel of Time series. And oh my god, that show better be successful on the ships alone. I swear, if they cast it right and they get a bunch of cute unknowns to play all of these teenagers who are just naive as all get out and have no idea how to flirt or how to tell someone that they like them, that's just gonna be precious, and that show is gonna be super successful. That's really all they have to do. If they get the cast right and they make the ships even like half as precious and adorable as they are in these books, then they're gonna have a successful show. That's all they have to do. I am a little over like the 100-page mark now, and I will continue to say the Aes Sedai story arc is so interesting to me. Like, I love that this series continually has situations where women are coming together to try to decide what to do next. Like, to try to figure out how to deal with all of this crap that's going on. And there's, like, no guys poking their heads in and being like, well, you can't do that. No, all of the women are just taking charge and doing what needs to get done. And it's beautiful, and I love it. Other than that, I mean, it's just mostly been a whole bunch of, like, relationship crap. There's been a lot of, like, relationship stuff in this first section of this book. I'm not normally the person that's gonna be like, I wanna spend more time with these teenagers trying to flirt with each other, but they're just all so bad at it. They're just terrible, and it's just so precious. Hey everybody, it is Monday, February 25th, and last night as I was finishing up sorting through some books, I decided to do that try a chapter challenge on a few books that I couldn't decide whether or not I wanted to keep or not. And so the way this challenge works is that you read the first chapter and then kind of use that to dictate whether it's a book that you want to continue to read or if you want to let go. And then I picked up Skinny by Donna Cooner and proceeded to read the entire book in one sitting. So somehow I turned a read a chapter challenge into a read a book challenge, and I was successful in that challenge. And the worst part about it is I really don't like this book. It's not good at all. I actually quite hate it, and I'm starting to like rage about it a little bit. When I was reading it, I found it really quite entertaining. I was enjoying my time with it, but the entire time I was just like, okay, there's a major issue happening with the main character that's got to be addressed. At some point it's going to be addressed. And I got to the end of the book and it was never freaking addressed. So this book follows a obese high schooler. She's 300 pounds, and she's done all of the dieting and exercise that she could possibly ever do and not losing any weight. And so she decides to go ahead and have gastric bypass surgery at age 15. And that is, I mean, it's handled okay. It's not done as well as I would like it to have been, but it at least addressed the fact that this is a dangerous thing, that there are some health concerns to it. The recovery process is pretty brutal, and in general, she still acknowledges the fact that she's never gonna be super skinny. So that was all done well enough. Not really the kind of message that I want to present to teenagers who are overweight, but still done better than it could have been done. And that was all fine, that was all well and good, but the entire time I'm just like, what about the underlying issue that led to that obesity? Because the thing is, this girl started gaining weight after her mother passed away when she was 10 years old. There's a very obvious moment in history when she started gaining this weight. That's talked about in this book repeatedly. In addition to that, before her mother passed away, her mother encouraged this girl to diet and exercise because her mother also had a lot of problems with weight. And so this girl, from the age that she understood what it meant to be overweight, was taught to avoid it like the plague. And so already, like, horrible foundation for this girl's relationship with food. Absolutely just abysmal upbringing that she had to set her up to just fail when it came to having any kind of healthy relationship with food. On top of that, there's a moment where it references a letter that her dad sent to her. Like, actually put it in the mail and mailed it back to their house so she would receive this letter. And it basically said, look, I love you and I want the best possible future for you. And I just think if you took care of yourself more, then it would be easier for you to get a husband in the future and have kids, and I want that future for you. Like, that's a letter that her father sent her. All of this led to her being incredibly depressed. Like, within the first 5 pages of this book, it is obvious that this girl is suffering from severe depression, to the point where she internalizes this voice that basically speaks for all the people around her, and it's just the worst possible things that they could say about her weight, about what they think about her, about how disgusting she is. And this voice is Skinny. Skinny is the voice in her ear that's basically whispering how fat she is, how much people are disgusted by the amount she eats, how they're laughing about the fact that she can't fit in any of the chairs or any of the desks at school. And it's so blatantly a mental health issue. Never once is that addressed in this book. Never once does it ever talk about the fact that she's depressed or that she probably needs, like, counseling. There's never a mention of any of that. There's no sign at all that this family is paying any attention to this girl's mental health state. And beyond that, the relationship with food that she has is never really, like, fully talked about, fully discussed, is the fact that just because she's tried to diet and exercise, just because she's tried those avenues and that didn't work for her losing weight, it never really got to the root of the problem, which is her relationship with food. It never really discussed the fact that she has an eating disorder in this book. In fact, the only time the words eating disorder are even mentioned in this book is after she's had the surgery and she has a bad reaction to food and ends up going into a public restroom and throwing up. And she leaves that restroom thinking, great, now everybody in that restroom thinks I have an eating disorder. And I'm just like, but you do have an eating disorder, okay? It's not that exact eating disorder, but you definitely have an eating disorder if you're to the point where you're eating salads in the cafeteria to, like, put a front on, and then going and hiding in the school bathroom and eating 3-4 candy bars in one go. That is an eating disorder. You have that, and this book doesn't acknowledge any of that. It doesn't acknowledge the fact that this girl has an eating disorder. It doesn't acknowledge the fact that she has mental health issues. It doesn't do anything to address those major issues. And this is a book that is targeted at 15-year-old girls. The try a chapter challenge was not the best idea that I ever had. This book is definitely not staying in my collection. This book is going out of here. It is gone. It is out of my house after I'm done with this video. I'm not even sure if I'm gonna, like, donate it to a place where somebody else can pick it up and read it. I will probably recycle that book. That book made me so mad. Toothless, by the way, now is batting at the book. He decided it's a toy. Other than that, I am almost to the halfway mark on The Shadow Rising. That I'm having a much better experience with, and I am going to try to finish that before the end of the month so I can get that Wheel of Time book in the month and keep on track to finish the series by the end of the year. And let me just say, in The Dragon Reborn, I fell in love with Matt, and Matt will remain my favorite character for the foreseeable future. I mean, I love him, but Min and Nynaeve are just so gorgeous. I love those two women. I love the fact that this book has so many well-developed female characters, and I am just ecstatic going through it. Like, there was a section out at work today that I was listening to that I was, like, fist pumping because I was so proud of Nynaeve. She was so good, and I love that that's such a feature in these books, that the women are so prominent and they're doing awesome stuff, but they feel like realistic women, and I adore these books for that reason. And yeah, that is a much better note to end this update on. Hey everybody, it is Tuesday, February 26th, and yeah, I'm super tired. And I don't really have a good excuse to be super tired. It was a pretty easy work day, and it's only like 7 o'clock, but I am super tired. What I have been doing the past couple of days is I've been going on walks at the end of the workday. Like, I'll take a walk before I come home, and yeah, I'm not in shape at all. So really quickly, I don't have a huge amount to update you guys on. I am on page 500 of this beast, and yeah, I'm just continuing to really enjoy my time with this series. I'm enjoying Perrin's story arc a lot in this book, which he's been one of those characters that I've never really felt super invested in one way or the other. Like, you know, Rand, I'm constantly annoyed by, and Matt I just flat out fell in love with. So of the trio, he's the one that I felt like the least connection with. But this book, I'm really enjoying his arc and the time that I've got to spend seeing his character develop. That is a cat paw. But anyway, I am still plugging away on that one. I think I'm going to try to finish it tomorrow, because I'll have some time off in the afternoon, so I should be able to wrap that one up. I think tonight I will also pick up The Light Fantastic by Terry Pratchett, mostly because I want to soak in the tub, and it's really hard to read these giant heavy hardbacks in the tub. So I went for the nice little mass market paperback. But I think I mentioned this during one of my December vlogs when I read Hogfather, but I am trying to read through all of the Discworld books in order. I obviously broke that trend with Hogfather because it was at Christmas time. But that's still a goal that I want to like focus on. It's not one that I'm like putting a huge amount of pressure on myself to do. I don't have like a timeline or a deadline that I want to have all the books done. Just every now and again when I'm feeling like a Discworld book, I'll just pick the next one in the publication order. So you wanna talk to them? You gonna close out this clip? Ow. Well, that's I don't know what I expected. Hey everybody, it is Wednesday and I finished The Shadow Rising. I really enjoyed the fact that it focused on some characters that I hadn't really developed an attachment to up until now. And yeah, that's a trend that I'm seeing in these books, is that it kind of just picks a character or two that it really focuses in, and a lot of the story is about them. And sometimes there's like huge sections of these books where you're just stuck with certain characters for a long period of time, and then eventually you'll jump back into some of the other characters' lives. There was huge chunks of this book where you were just with Perrin, and Perrin was who you were with, and you know what? I was okay with that because I felt like Perrin needed that. I needed that time with Perrin to get into his character a little bit more, and I enjoyed that dig, that exploration of his character, and yeah, liked his character arc a lot in this one. I also did start The Light Fantastic. I'm barely in it. I really like the Rincewind and Two Flower dynamic. I enjoy those characters together. I know that Rincewind isn't like everybody's favorite storyline, but I like that dynamic. I like that duo. And I feel like I haven't really done much explaining about what this universe is because I was just raised in this universe, so I'm so familiar with it. But Discworld in general is an absurdist fantasy world where you can read the books in any order, and there are like storylines within. So Rincewind is one of the storylines, and then there's the witches, there's the death storyline, there's like some smaller ones like the Tiffany Aching, which is near and dear to my heart. I love her, and yeah, you can just really pick up any of them and just read them. You don't even have to like pick up the first one in a story line. You could pick up this one as your first one. You could pick up Hogfather as your first one. I mean, there's a lot. There's no limit to where you can like jump in. You can just pick up any Discworld book and start, and you'll be fine. There's definitely places where people recommend. A lot of people recommend Mort as a starting point. I would honestly recommend the We Free Men as a starting point. Also, decided I was going to start The Wizards of Once, which is the first book in Cresta Cowell's new series. There's only 2 books out, and I'm going to be so upset when I get to the end of the second book. I know I am. Like, I know it. I have no idea how long this series is going to be. I don't know if it's going to be like a 12-book How to Train Your Dragon epic length, or if it's going to be a little bit shorter. But I'm already so in love. And of course I'm going with the audiobook because David Tennant is continuing to narrate it, and the production values on these audiobooks are just outstanding. The quality is so good, and I just can't not listen to it. So these books so far center around 2 tribes that are in like the wild woods, like just the most deep and expansive and magical woods that you can imagine. And there's the wizards tribe and the warriors tribe. And so the wizards are all about the magic, and the warriors are all about the not magic. And you're following a character from each and their shenanigans as they kind of like interact with each other, because apparently witches are also in these books, and witches are evil. Witches are bad news. They're bad news bears. And Czar, who is from the Wizards tribe, he's trying to track down a witch. And Wish, who is over in the Warriors group, gets like roped into all of this. And so far, like, the characters, fantastic. Like, every single one of them I am immediately in love with. And her wit and charm and everything that she does so well is immediate. Like, instant, everything is just gorgeous. And I love these books so much. And there's only 2 of them. Okay, everybody, it is Thursday. I really wanted it to be Friday. Like, multiple times today I thought it was Friday and was very upset when I realized that it was not. But it's Thursday, February 27th? No, it's the 28th. Oh man, tomorrow's March. I finished the Wizards of Wands. That's the name of that, right? The Wands. And it's super cute. It's all the things that I expect from a Cressida Cal book, and I was immediately immersed in the world. I really like the setup. I think there's a lot of potential in this story. I can't wait to continue on with the series. Unfortunately, I only have 1 book left before I have to start the waiting game, and I'm not looking forward to that. But all that said and done, I'm so excited to get back into another one of her worlds, and I really want to reread the How to Train Your Dragon books. Between watching The Hidden World and starting this series, I really want to reread the How to Train Your Dragon books. So a book that I just kind of spontaneously decided to pick up, I'm actually listening to the audiobook, but I own the physical copy, and that's The Shadow's Queen by C.J. Wedrine. And this is a Snow White retelling, and so far it's got a lot of things that I like. So, things that I like: dragon people, magic with restrictions, high stakes, an actual, like, willing heroine, like, not someone who's kind of, like, feels like she's forced into being the hero, but actually wants to save her people, that kind of thing. Love that. And a meet cute. A super, super cute meet cute. Yeah, this has got a lot going for it so far. It's been a pretty enjoyable experience so far. I am I'm on chapter 9, page 81. And yeah, it's just been a really nice YA fairy tale retelling. So I'm into it, but not very far into it. And that's really all the reading I've done today. Mostly today I've just been super spaced out and not been able to focus. So I did start this is the how unfocused I am. I did start the City of Dreaming books, I believe is what it's called. It's by Walter Moyers, and did a little investigating, and it's part of, oh my god, I'm not gonna get this name right. It starts with a Z. It's like Zomania. Well, just let me go get a book real quick. Where's the name of the crap? Zamonia. Zamonia. I think that's how it's pronounced. And when I was investigating it, I realized that I actually own the first book in this series. I don't think it's, like, super important. I've been told that you can read them out of order. But I decided instead of reading that one, I wanted to read this one first because it kind of explained a little bit more about the world. And so I just decided to nix that audiobook for now. Also, I didn't realize that this had a lot of art in it, so I may not want to go the audiobook route anyway, because a lot of the pages have, like, art stuffs on them, and I like art stuffs. So I may have to go with a physical read on these books. But this is the first one. This is the 13 and a Half Lives of Captain Blue Bear. And so I will probably start this one sometime in March. Ow. That was my leg. Also, wait, I had another boo-boo. I'm just, like, messing up on reading entirely. But I went into Saga Volume 9, thinking that I had already read volume 8 because my history on my library's account had shown that I had that checked out, but apparently I never actually read it. I just checked it out. And like when I was going back through, I was trying to piece some stuff together because it didn't track perfectly in my mind. And I looked back through my Goodreads and I was just like, no, I never read volume 8. So I skipped a volume. So now I'm trying to go back and rectify that. So I went ahead and reread volume 7 tonight and plan on reading volume 8 just so I can kind of get the context all wrapped around again. Because it'd been like, oh gosh, months and months since I'd read volume 7. So I was all out of sorts. And I went into that thinking that it kind of made sense with what I was remembering, but it really didn't. So I just totally read stuff out of order on that one. But I'm fixing it. It's okay. I'm handling it. Don't worry. So I'm venturing into the land of better video editors. I'm trying to work with, let me get the name right, DaVinci Resolve 15. And yeah, it's been a learning process. I'm not very good at editing. This vlog will definitely not be edited using that software because I'm already like semi-edited on this vlog. So you're gonna get the crappy Windows Movie Maker version of this vlog, and then hopefully I'll get a little bit more experienced with this software. But I've been wanting to be able to do things like picture-in-picture and things like that, and I have not been able to manage that with any of the other software I've tried. But I've got a kind of bearings on this one. I just did my by February check-in video edited on it, and I did some very minor like picture-in-picture stuff on it, so should be workable. I just got to learn how to use it. There's definitely like a learning curve there. Hey everybody, it is Friday, and I am so happy that it is Friday, and actually Friday, and not a Thursday that I thought was Friday. And I have books to talk to you about, but the cat is on me now, and my books are across the room. So I'm just gonna, like, talk about them, and we're gonna pretend like I'm fancy editor mode right now, and just imagine the picture of the book here. I thought for a second that there was a glitch, but it seems to still be going. I finished The Shadow Queen, and this was just really fun and cute, and had like a lot going for it. I mean, it wasn't anything extraordinary. It was just fun. It was silly fun, and I gotta say, I love a good fairy tale retelling. And this is part of a series, and she's done a whole bunch of other fairy tales. I think she's got 4 of them out so far. Also, last night, I read volume 8 of Saga, so I'm actually caught up now, and not just pretending to be caught up by accidentally skipping to the most recent volume. So, yeah, we're good on that. We read a lot about abortion and transgender people in these last couple of volumes, so that's, I mean, I'm for those discussions. I like that that's in there. Also started the audiobook for Sabriel today, which is the first in the Porson trilogy by Garth Nix, and this is an awesome looking fantasy series that I've been wanting to get to forever, because it's all about like necromancy and like the dead being just all around us, and like the blurring of lines between living and dead, and it's just it's so my jam. I'm so ready to get into this series. But I got into a weird thing today because the book's narrated by Tim Curry, which when I first read that I thought, oh, that's cool. I'm down for that. But there's something about his voice that's so easy for me to tune out. It's so kind of like relaxing. Like, I've had this problem with Neil Gaiman's narration before, because Neil Gaiman has just like the most relaxing voice to listen to, and it's just really easy for me to just zone out when listening to a Neil Gaiman narrated book, and I'm having a similar issue with this. So I had several false starts, and I had to like reset and go back to the beginning. But I'm in it now. Like, I feel like I'm invested enough in the story that I'm actually going to be paying attention and not just like having the nice monotone voice going on in my ear. But yeah, I'm super excited about that. It's been one that's on my list to read for a long time. And yeah, I finally got around to it. I'll get around to them all eventually. That's what I keep telling myself. Eventually I'll get around to all the books. and that's my plan. Hey everybody, it is Sunday, and I'm editing, and don't have a closing clip for this vlog, so I should probably film that. So I have a little bit of reading to catch you guys up on. Actually, I have a lot of bit of reading to catch you guys up on, because yesterday I read like crazy. I just didn't vlog at all because that made sense to me at the time. So I did finish The Light Fantastic by Terry Pratchett, and already, like, this early on in the books, you can feel it. Like, you can feel them Discworld vibes, and I love it. I had some great laugh out moments. I had some great, like, cringe. Like, you really just wrote that, Terry Pratchett. You really just wrote those words, and they went through all of those proofing processes and continue to be in the published book. Yeah, there's some of that stuff in here too, and it's great. It's fantastic. And the ending was kind of bittersweet. It kind of, like, it was just a little bit like, it was just it pulled on the heartstrings. Like, I love this book, and I know that they're just gonna get better. I mean, there's some stinkers in there, but overall, like, the quality of this series is going to continue to get better, and I am so for it. There's so many in this series that I haven't read yet, and I am ready for that life. Also, I read the third volume of Super Sons. That took a lot of brain power there, and this one was okay. It was still really good. Like, I really enjoyed it, but it's kind of like 3 separate arcs, and they're all really short. And one of them was like a Talia al Ghul arc, and I would have really liked more time with that arc. Like, I assume she's gonna come back at some point. Like, I assume they're not just going to ignore the fact that she's Damien's mom and there's all of that baggage there. But it's still like, I want it so bad. But overall, it was really fun, and we had super dogs in this one, so, you know, you can't hate it. You can't hate super dogs. Also got a bit further along in Sabriel. I'm almost halfway through. I still don't feel like this book is really started yet. Like, I feel like there's still, like, I don't know, I'm not fully invested. Like, I like a lot of the stuff that's going on with the lore. Like, I like the setup, but I'm ready for, like, to really feel like I know what's going on, and I'm just kind of going through the motions. Maybe I haven't been paying attention. Maybe Tim Curry's voice has just put me in some kind of coma state, and it's, like, really obvious. But I still feel, like, kind of confused by this book. Also, the writing style, just in general, there's some things that I'm not crazy about, mostly to do with the fact that he kind of over-explains actions, like little details and things like that. Like, the scene that comes to mind is, there's a scene that right after she wakes up, she lights a match, and then the match burns out, and she lights a second match, and uses that match to light a candle. She sets the candle on the ground. She lights the second candle, sets that candle next to the other candle on the ground, lights third candle, carries that candle around to look around at her surroundings, and then she moves the candle from one hand to the other. Like, it's that specific with, like, action and, like, every step that she takes, and it was just, it felt really unnecessary, and I wasn't feeling it. But I am hoping that eventually, like, all of these pieces will click, and I'll be super into this, because I feel like the lore and the ideas that are going into this, I'm so for. I just haven't really, like, connected on a character level or a plot level yet. Like, I like the world. I like the world a lot, but the characters and plot, I'm just kind of on so far. But I'm only halfway through the first one, so we'll see how that proceeds going on to further books. What else have I read? I started Thunderhead. This is the second book in the Arc of the Scythe, and this one is absolutely great so far. I'm about 130 pages in, and I am so excited about the directions that it's going. It's added some characters, it's explored some characters more fully. I mean, and I feel like we're barely in, and so much stuff has already happened, and I cannot wait to see the directions that this goes. Also, you know, as the title would suggest, the Thunderhead plays a much more significant role in this one so far, and I am all for that. I am all for nice AI analysis of the world and humanity and all of that psychology that goes into this in between each chapter. Just like it was in the first book, it was diary entries from the Scythes. This one, it's kind of like diary entries from the Thunderhead, and it's all about the decisions it made and why it made those decisions and the thought process that it had building up this society and this utopia for humanity, and it's really interesting. And I just ran out of room on my phone, so I deleted a couple clips. I'm gonna actually do a closing clip now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next vlog. Well, you'll see me in the next vlog, because that's how YouTube works.